To all my custom water cooling enthusiasts out there, you ever had an unfortunate event where you put all this time, energy, and money into a personal rig, building a custom loop, whether it's for your GPU, CPU, or both, and only to find out one night you decide to leave it running for Windows updates and go to bed, and you wake up the next morning only to find you sprung a leak on multiple areas in your loop, and all the cooling is all over your motherboard, all the other peripherals, your fans, and it's stuck in a CPU loop because the CPU is overheating because the pump stopped working. If you have, let me know below, but it's happened to your boy after 6.5 years. Let's get into the details. Hey everyone, it's your boy LawTech back in with some unfortunate tech news, more on the personal side this time around. For all you water cooling enthusiasts out there, I'm sure you knew someone, if it haven't happened to you already, that had custom loops and it started having a leak. If it did, let me know below if they were stressed out as much as I am, because yes, you guessed it. After 6.5 years of all fail for that usually is behind me, my custom loop for 6.5 years. Overnight, one time I decided to leave the Windows updates running. Nothing was leaking at the time before I went to bed. But over the night when I was sleeping, my CPU pump, not CPU pump, my water cooling pump for my pump res combo decided to die. As a result, the CPU started overheating when I was trying to do the updates and started going a CPU loop and rebooting because the CPU was getting too hot. And then, as I don't know how much hours was going on, but after the pump died, it started being able to transfer that heat away from the CPU, like how it should, how pump loop's supposed to work or custom loop's supposed to work. And pretty much the heat was so severe because I managed to briefly look at hardware info, the application that shows you your rig specs as far as temperature and stuff. And my CPU at the time when I first installed this rig with a custom loop, it was usually idling probably mid to high 50s, on the high end 60, 62. But then when I go out do extensive tasks like multiple spreadsheets, trying to like play games or do anything that takes a lot of CPU resources, it won't go past probably 70, 75. I didn't bother overclock because I just believe in normal boosting. I don't really overclock that much anymore. So I decided the CPU is stock, not tweaked, not nothing. But the point is, the fluid couldn't get to the thing anymore because the pump couldn't stop working. So it stopped being able to transfer the coolant to the CPU block that CPU was under to keep it cool. So it was jumping from like 80. Well, it started climbing from 75, then went to 80, 85, then spiked to 115, then dropped down to 85 again, then spiked to 115 again. And after about 2 or 3 minutes of it doing that, it pretty much forced itself to shut down and reboot constantly because it couldn't get any heat. And because this heat was so much, I mean, it was so severe because I could feel the heat all on the acrylic tubing that I used for my custom loop. And when I got closer to the CPU block was really, really, really toasty. So just for the pump dying, it caused all this mess. And because the heat was so hard, not only did it cause hard reboots constant to go every couple of minutes on the CPU, but it also caused the O-rings in the fittings on the CPU block and some fittings going to the reservoir to expand and force the fittings to come loose to just enough to have a constant stream of dripping of coolant. So when I woke up the next day, I was like, what the hell is going on? The coolant was on half the lower side of my motherboard, right below the M.2 drives. Some was on the M.2 drive shields, the ones that help transfer the heat. So I was very happy when I saw no coolant on the actual drives themselves. So I'm hoping that means that I managed to save them because I plugged all the power immediately when I saw this. But the whole lower half of the motherboard was drenched with blue coolant. So it got on the motherboard itself. You know what that means. I don't care how anti-conductive coolant is. Enough drops in the motherboard is going to cause problems. And this is one of the things that I was scared of before I even took the jump 6.5 years ago into water cooling, because up before that, I was just doing fans. But I want to do something more, give myself a little project, a little challenge. So 6.5 years ago, I decided to switch to acrylic custom loop, bought a whole kit, everything is working fine for 6.5 years. But everything man-made has an expiration date, and I guess this time around, the XSPC pump res combo, the D5 pump decided to quit. So you can't avoid it because nothing doesn't live forever, especially man-made stuff that are like machines and engines. So going back on topic, the coolant got so much built up over the hours. I don't know how much hours it was dripping, but it probably was at least 5+ hours when I was sleeping all that time. So I probably died probably an hour or two. I'm guesstimating about an hour or two after I went to bed. It probably started dripping, but by then I was probably passed out sleeping already. So yeah, it got all on the intake fans at the bottom, all three of them, and they were drenched with coolant. All of the screws, it was got through them so much that even the bottom of the actually like right the bottom where the case was sitting like here, it was filled with blue puddles. It almost got to a point where it leaked over on the floor, but everything in this area that was in front and behind and next to the CPU case was all covered in blue. And to make things worse, once this happened, more chaos, like a domino effect. The CPU, my poor Nitro Plus 5700 XT that I loved for last 6.5 years, poor thing was drenched in blue. I couldn't recognize the card anymore. So the whole back of the PCB, because I had it in horizontal format, so the whole back of the PCB and part of the front of the GPU was drenched in blue coolant, and it got to the part, the old school video cards had like the chips exposed in the back, like where the chips or the GPU chip lies. So all there was, cover of blue, like puddles, even the headers on the GPU itself cover of blue, to a point where it got through this got under the back plate onto the PCB, through the PCB, through the fans that are on the video card itself. So those fans are drenched in blue as well. So my poor 5700 XT, it was toast. So after the thing was overheating, the video started going crazy because, of course, video cards need no liquid on them, especially when there's not a water block on them. And they just fried it, and that's last video. And then it was reboot in a reboot loop. The whole PC was in a reboot loop without video. I just heard the reboot noises. And this is before I plugged everything, because within the first 5 minutes I saw the stuff happening, I unplugged everything, the power supply, everything. And the custom cables I had for the GPU and the CPU and all the huge EPS connectors for the that you put in the motherboard, I had all of them replaced with custom cables from my default cables that carry my power supply. And this case, the power supply was the EVGA Supernova P2 1000 watt. Very good PSU. I had it for ages. This PSU got me through 3 full bills until this happened. So yeah, it was a very good PC. It was platinum rated. Rest in peace, EVGA. They're no longer on the market for GPUs, but I think they still makes PSUs. But that's a topic for another day. But thankfully, I didn't let anything on my power supply. But the blue was so far down on the cables, I can't ignore the fact that there's a potential possibility that the coolant got in the power supply as well. But maybe not as much as the motherboard, but maybe a couple drops. Not to a point where it goes crazy, but yeah. So that has been my last couple days to a week, picking down my PC parts, draining everything, unplugging everything, looking at the part list I had for months, because I was planning to upgrade to AM5, and now I didn't expect to do it this soon. But I'm right now trying to guesstimate and trying to see if there's anything I have on my part list that I don't need, so I can save as much money as possible. But so far, it doesn't look like nothing that I have right there on the list. I cut down as much as I can, and everything I have on there I need. So I'm also making another video once I get the parts come in and start the building process of my new rig. But I am not going to be doing custom loops anytime soon for the next foreseeable future. This is the same reason why I was skeptical of even taking the leap. Even though it took 6.5 years to get here, I still don't want to take that risk. So I'm probably going to go AIO, where I don't have to worry about the custom loops and tubes out, like tubes with fittings, all that stuff. And AIOs are pretty affordable nowadays, especially even the bigger ones. And I'm thinking I'm going to do that, but I don't want to spoil it. So when I get my parts, I'll show you the parts I got. But I will be getting a 9950X3D, because I will be getting into streaming and more virtual machine management to create my Linux lab on my main PC. I have it on a laptop already, but I'm not going to get a hub, make the main PC the hub, so I can have like a whole little test environment for Linux, which is one of my plans, what I need the 16-core CPU, because I'm going to streaming as well as virtual machine management. But until then, this is BioLockTech, I know it's sad. I'm dying a little inside because I'm going to miss this beauty. But all good things must come to an end. So until then, let me know if this ever happened to y'all guys in the comments below and what y'all did. Do y'all panic? What do y'all do? You know, it's kind of crazy now with the economy, with the pricing. But it's best to pull the trigger now because for what I'm seeing, it's not going to get any lower. So I might as well get it now before things get more insane price-wise. Let me know in the comments below if you experienced this, if you had a friend experiences, and how do y'all handle this. Until then, this is boy LockTech signing out.